Greetings. This is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. And yeah, hope everybody's doing, it's the start of the week. It's Monday. We're about to kick things off as, oh my gosh, I just realized it's almost the end of February. Wow. Yeah, isn't it? It's crazy, right? So, I mean, we're just almost literally gonna be like, it's March, and it's gonna be like, and as I'm just now thinking about it, it's gonna be 4 years since we've kind of been like, I don't know, in a new normal or some sort. Like,
Oh my gosh.
that's
I realized that the other day too. I was talking with a friend of mine. I was like, it's going to be a 4-year anniversary of this madness. I'm like, how are we still like sane? Like, so,
I know, for real, right? Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I was just kind of thinking about it the other day where it's like, wow, it really is going to be like, I mean, technically it's already been 4 years, but no, in March is when we are officially kind of like, oh yeah, we're entering a new normal, but this is, nobody really cares about the politics. Well, at least for right now, because later this year.
Yeah.
Anyways, but enough about that. Um, we're just gonna be chilling, and I mean, I'm already in the mood. Like, I have my Mario
I love it.
spirit, as my, I guess, spirit character of some sort, and I got my posters in the back, and I got everything that can, keep my spirits lifted during these tumultuous times as we're approaching, March and, later in the year. But today we're going to be chatting with somebody who you may recognize, in the video games. They've done a lot of voiceover. They've recorded for so many different projects that, like, if I list off the resume, I think we're probably going to be here for like, I don't know, 30-ish minutes or so. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie.
Hi. Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, I know that we're just eager to get started.
Mhm.
And I know she certainly is ready to get started with this. So, yeah, we're just going to be chatting about like anything that comes to mind because this is kind of like one of those more off the cuff, spontaneous type of stuff.
Okay, cool.
So, enough
Yeah.
stalling. We'll just get right
I'm
into
down.
this.
I'm down for it. I mean, I've got behind me, I have a couple of video game stuff. I don't know if you can see it here, but oh, I gotta
Nice.
show you guys up above. Hold on. There it is. There's some Resident Evil stuff up. If you go even further,
Hey,
there it is.
hey.
It keeps going up.
Yeah,
That wall of
like,
that wall behind me just keeps getting longer and longer and
I know,
longer.
like, look at this. I
Oh,
literally
there you
got
go. See?
so many posters, so much
Yeah,
stuff
I
behind
feel
me.
like this was just a moment of like the haunted house in Disney where the walls just keep going.
Yeah. Yep. Even
So,
like down here, like,
yeah,
look at
I love
this.
it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so much Sonic. Yeah. I got, so as you can tell, this is the best type of podcast. We're just both kind of like, we collect stuff
Oh
and
my
we're
gosh, yeah.
just big nerds about a lot of different stuff. So this makes the best kind of content.
I love it. Well, I used to write reviews for comics. So I actually have like quite a bit of comic book stuff too that are collected
Nice.
throughout the years, but I've had to like learn how to narrow it down a tad bit. And also realizing that, I mean, you've made use of your prints. I have to say, I can't tell you how many prints I have that are I don't have them up right now. I'm waiting for that moment where I can just like really set like a whole wall of just like here it is, you know? So
Sure. Oh yeah, totally. But I know there's definitely more um with prints and everything. Like, honestly, with a lot of the stuff that you've been, I mean, I know that you've been definitely crushing it as I've been seeing you lately. Like, I
oh,
mean,
thank you.
there's just a lot that we can just discuss in just a few minutes that we have. But
Yeah.
I will just say that, yeah, it's gonna happen. Never say never with regarding prints and everything. So,
Mhm.
but I guess we could just get right into this. Like, since we're kind of like in the new year and everything, I've kind of been asking like, how has this year been so far? Blah 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 blah. So, what was it? How has this year been? I guess when it comes to VO, live, just how is it
Yeah.
in general for you?
How's
Just
it
to
been thus far?
throw out the
Yeah, I
resume.
mean, so for those of people out there too that are watching, so I do a lot of voiceover and I do a lot of motion capture as well. So a lot of, I would say that the start of this year, I've seen a lot more. voiceover at the moment, but I know that what we call PCAP, performance capture, is probably going to be starting up. So we'll start to see more of that throughout the year. But I have definitely been busy. I mean, I've already booked a couple things this year, that I'm starting to record, and I've been so excited because for anyone who's a Genshin fan, back here I've got for Genshin Impact, I finally was announced as the voice of Shenyun, also known as Cloud Retainer. So that's been a really big, awesome welcoming from the community, and love that. I've done a couple signings with, as far as like my Claire Redfield Resident Evil side goes. This is our 5-year anniversary of Resident Evil 2, which is insane. I
I
can't believe
know.
it's been
Yeah.
5 years since I
No, I
started
mean, I
like
still can't believe
playing
it's been
her.
5 years. Yeah.
It's madness. It's absolute
It's
madness. So
crazy.
it's kind of wild to see that since, I mean, when I think about it, 2 or 3 years prior to the game coming out, I was playing Claire. So that means that I've really been her for the past like 8 years. So, which is pretty wild. So it's a big celebration year for the 5-year anniversary of Resident Evil 2. And, I had a signing earlier this year for that. Then I had a dual signing with Nicole Tompkins, who also voices Jill Valentine. And so it's been a very, very busy start of the year, if I'm being honest. And then I have another signing coming up for Shenyun, which would be my first time ever signing anything for Cloud Retainer. And and so it's been busy and it's been exciting. We also have a convention coming up for anyone who's in Arizona. We have the one of the largest gathering of Resident Evil cast members all in one place. So that's gonna be wild. It's a pretty crazy start of the year. We're going to put it that way. And I'm just
Yeah.
really happy because I booked a trip to Costa Rica so that I could
Get
take a
out.
little bit of a breather
No.
from the madness of it
What?
all. So,
Oh
yeah.
my God, Costa,
Yeah.
bro.
Dude, I'm so excited for it. You've no idea. Like you and I both, we've been seeing these gray skies outside, and what keeps
Hmm.
me sane in
Yeah.
the morning, what keeps me sane in the morning, I wake up and I have this like, I have a couple of plants in my room. And so when I wake up and I just see grayness, I just like look over at my plants. I just go, Costa Rica is coming. And like, and that just keeps me in the zone. I'm like, it's okay. It's going to be good. Just go on through. So yeah, but it's been a good year. It's all been good stuff. So
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm sure as you know, busy can be both good and a bit much if you're not balancing it out. So when you find that sweet
Oh
balance, then
my.
it's all gravy.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody who is like, when it comes to time management, it is like a roller coaster where sometimes I'm like, okay, like I'm doing pretty well. Like I got I have this behind me. This is where I pretty
Oh,
much,
you have your booth in there, yeah.
yeah, this is where I pretty much just, I don't know, rage, cry, or do whatever unearthly emotion that I can like, just pour out in there for like hours. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm just working on this and then, taking some time to play a game or what have you. But other times it's kind of like, oh, hey, I've been working for like 12, I don't know, how many hours straight. And I'm just like, you know what? I think I need to exercise and eat something. And so I'm like kind of
Straight
the,
up.
yeah,
Dude,
I'm like kind of the worst when it comes to, I don't
you're
follow
not
my
the
own
only
advice.
person
Yeah.
though. You know what I've figured out is the trick for those moments when you're like really have
Yeah.
gone a little too far? Is just going to sound a little bit weird, but trust me on this. There's apparently scientific research for all this woo-woo stuff. But
Okay.
take your shoes off and go walk outside in the grass. And you could literally do this for like 10 minutes, right? And then just do a little bit of like breathing exercises and give yourself just 10 minutes. You will come back feeling so refreshed and you'll be like, holy shit, like, thank God I did that for myself because it makes a world of difference. It, like for me, it gets me present right away because I'm like I'll jump into the booth and I'll be in there for hours and hours and hours, like knocking all this stuff out. And then I'll be like, who am I? What am I doing? Did I have a meal? Like, what just happened? And that's the best thing in the world. I go outside, take a breather, take my shoes off. I know it sounds weird, but like feeling the ground and stuff is supposed to be really good for all of it. So, yeah. So if you have 10 minutes for yourself, take the shoes off and walk in the grass.
I'll definitely, you know what? I'll take your word on it. Yeah. Um, yeah, because especially if it's like, after we've had rain and everything, I know that the grass is gonna feel kind of moist or what have you,
That's
but you know
okay.
what? Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll take
You'll
your
feel
advice. Yeah.
alive. You'll feel alive. I know that sounds weird, but it's gonna be like cold, and then it's gonna feel like mushy, and then you're gonna be like, "Whoa, this brings me back to my childhood and jumping into puddles." And then all of a
Wait,
sudden, it's like this full
yeah.
circle thing, and you feel
You get
alive
it.
again.
Yeah, you just hit it. You get it. Oh my gosh, yeah. You get it.
Yeah.
But I guess we just gave some advice to, I guess we gave some stress relievers, like
Yeah.
stuff.
Brings you back to the present. I'm telling you, this
Yeah.
we can have a lot of conversations about this because I'm a big believer in this stuff because I maybe because I'm a Libra, I'm all about finding that balance within things. So like when you go too extreme one way, you got to balance it with the other side. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. How's that for a beginning? For like a podcast opener? Stress remedies. There you go. But yeah, we could just discuss like because I know there's been a lot of great projects that you've worked on, but I'm just not gonna ask like, how you got started because that's just kind of generic and boring. But so would you say that growing up though, like for media, because I know you're familiar with video games, like you've voiced in a lot of them. So what would you say were some of the ones that really just kind of stood out, like that just really resonated with you and not just for video games but just for media in general that just inspired you to be like, I kind of want to do this. This is like, what even is it? Oh, this is something that I would like to do. So what was the one, name something that in your life where you're just like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do, for a living or what have you. It can be media, just something, anything.
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't know this is what I was gonna do though. I didn't have
Yeah.
this plan. I loved acting since I was a kid. That was like just deep inside of me and there was just this desire to perform and create and to play. And that was always there, but when I started all this, like I didn't have this like great idea that I was going to become an actress and I was going to work in video games and animation. I was going to do performance capture and voiceover and no, I didn't even have
Dude,
that
same.
idea.
Me neither. No.
You know? Like
Yeah.
for me personally, like I loved it since I was a kid. I've got three brothers. I used to write little like plays and I would have them perform in it and all of that. But I will say that video games were pretty important in my family. So my parents got us the very first PlayStation. We were like the only household that had like the original PlayStation. It was kind of weird because our games were on like a CD-ROM looking thing, and everyone was like, "What is that?" And we were the first household, and we would all play together. Like my mom, my dad, and all three of my brothers. I remember one of our first games was Tekken, and we each had a character we named the family member as, and it was just so fun. Like the original Rayman, I remember my mom like playing the original Rayman and like getting through this like water sequence where she had to like race up the thing before she drowned. And it was just like it was a good experience around video games for me growing up. And then, so by the time that I played Tomb Raider, like that one just
Oh, wow.
changed everything for me because that's when I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's a female lead character. Oh, that's super cool. All this outdoorsy stuff that's adventurous and there's like mystery because I loved like the National Geographic like all the magazines back in the day, so I would like collect them and I loved looking at them. I remember having these little like pamphlets from I forgot what company it was, but it was like I would collect my own little books to learn about stuff and like archaeology. And so when that game came out, I was like, wow, this is pulling on all the stuff that I love. And that was a huge influence for me. Like it really was. Tomb Raider was a massive influence for me. And Lara was somebody that I adored. And, now to this day, like I rock climb. One of my majors in college, so I was political science, international affairs, but one of the concentrations was a lot of anthropology and archaeology, and I'm super outdoorsy. I travel all around the world, you know, and I was highly influenced, like highly influenced. So it's pretty cool because speaking of that, like when, you know, I got to do motion capture as Lara for their cinematic trailer of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and then that for me was like, holy shit, that's full circle, and that full on inspired it. So, but I didn't know that acting was a thing. I didn't know. I just knew I loved to perform and just kind of feel and play. It's more so about play. And then I knew that I had a really good relationship with video games. It was kind of a family bonding experience for me and for like with my neighbors and friends, that it was like a good thing. So, yeah.
Hmm. So important that you brought it up. Play. Man, I was just, this has kind of been like a reoccurring, just this word that just keeps coming around from time to time on the show, where it's, you go to, I don't even want to consider it as like work because a lot of us are kind of, yeah, because we sort of have this. It's also a lot of it is stemmed from like, stress or I don't know. I'm not like the big expert. I'm like, if I'm gonna be psychological or just analyze how our brains wire, like, I think a lot of us are just kind of like, we kind of come from a background of, we are, because when our parents raised us, like with family, we crave attention or just having this need of like, notice me, notice me, notice me. So when it comes to, and we just kind of seem to forget like that little playground that we kind of have this, mood of like, we play pretend or just building a sandcastle or just, you playing like, Hot Wheels or just didn't really have any, you didn't really think about what others thought. So when it comes to our work, we're suddenly just kind of like, oh man, I gotta get this right. I gotta get this right. Da, 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 da. And that just kind of we lose the play in the our inner child inside us, the older that we get. So I know it sounds really depressing, trust me, but it kind of
No,
is
it's
important that
not.
it's like, that I bring this up because when you mention play, it's like, yeah, a lot of us really are playing pretend. Like we play pretend and we are in a different character's shoes for however long. It could be in an audition, a project. I mean, for you, for instance, like, with the stuff that you've worked on, none of us really know, like, the impact or just how these games or franchises just still resonate with pop culture, even after all this time. Yeah, it's just, that's something that I really love. It's like, what you work on, you don't even know if it's going to get picked up or if it's going to explode like something like, I don't know, Resident Evil or Genshin or any of these other franchises that have really been picking up steam, like especially with Genshin, like over the course of the pandemic, it exploded. Like it is
Yeah.
huge now.
It's
Man, you just
massive.
will not believe it. Yeah,
Oh, well,
it's unbelievable.
it's one of those things where, you know, I had friends who got into Genshin Impact during, you know, COVID, the beginning of COVID, and they were like, this is what kept me
Hmm.
sane. This is what kept me going. And it's
Hmm.
funny because I didn't play it. I didn't start playing it until recently. And I'm like, I get it. You know, there's like, it's beautiful. The music is beautiful. You're outside in these rolling hills. There's like people that you're building connections with. Like it's such a great thing. And, you know, when you talk about play, why do we enjoy video games? It's because we're playing. You know, we're getting to experience, we're getting to do stuff, and we're getting to see other people in creation mode. And you're right that sometimes we can get lost in that like need to perform because we feel like we're a machine that needs to get it right. Right. And so, and I feel you on that because I have my moments, you know, I totally have my moments. Today, I was like, oh my gosh, today I'm just like, I feel off. And I'm like, why? Why is this thing? And then like you get into like these weird spirals. Am I doing it right? Am I doing that? And it's like, it's remembering there is no right. like, and like, it's funny because the more you play, the more you enjoy your auditions and the more something really natural comes out of you because you're not in your box. You're not creating that box that you think somebody put you in, right? So you're just like, fuck it, let's go. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this, but like, you just go, you know, like, And so I think that's important. And like one of the random things that I keep is like to keep me in play mode. And this is gonna be funny, but this is like a thing about me. But I have bubbles next to my desk, and or in even in my booth, and I just blow bubbles when I'm like freaking out. And I'm like, I can't think, I'm not in the zone, or whatever it is. I just pull out bubbles because bubbles bring me back again to play, right? Bubbles is like, I don't know where they're going to come from. I don't know if I'm going to be a little bubble, a small bubble. It's not even going to be a bubble. It's going to pop in my face. I have no idea. There's that play, and there's that like letting yourself be in whatever's coming. So I feel you on that. I feel you on it. And it's just practice. It's practice to remind ourselves that like as adult, we don't have to fit in this societal feeling of the right way or the wrong way. And so it's like just letting yourself be. So, but it makes a difference. It makes a difference for everything. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, blowing bubbles is like, for a lot of us, when we have our, moments, we gotta find that little something that just brings us back into place. Like, oh my gosh, wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
keep
could
some
go
bubbles
on
in
about
there
this.
now.
Yeah.
Keep some bubbles next to your desk this time, and you'll
Yeah.
see.
I mean, I do have some water and I guess Sunny D that kind
Yeah.
of helps. No, like
Some,
literally,
some of the
not product. It's okay. I know
okay,
it's
get some
probably
Sunny D.
product
That
placement,
brings you
but
back to childhood vibes. Yep.
yeah, totally not sponsored.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
just to chill with some good old Sunny D.
Yeah.
But yeah, like even before you started VO, like apparently, correct me if I'm wrong on this, you were on Sharknado, if I'm not mistaken.
How did this become a thing? Yeah, I wasn't on Sharknado. I okay, so let me clear up
Okay,
clear
sure, sure,
this
sure.
up.
I just wanted to,
No, I love this. I think it's so funny how this has been coming up. So I used to work when I first moved out here. Um, I worked at a Starbucks, and there was a customer that was coming in, and I was a very like, yeah, I'm down for that. Let's see it. Oh, let's try that. Cool. Yeah. Very like yes and person. And so one of the customers was like, "Oh, I'm working on this set of Sharknado 2 across the street." And then he would like tell me about it. And then he's like, "You want to come check it out?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So I went. And then before you know it, like I came from a family that like builds and like very DIY. And so before you know it, I was helping out to build the set of Sharknado 2. So it's such a random story, but yeah, I did have my part, we'll say, in Sharknado 2, but you'll never see me in it. I just helped do a couple little things in like this like submarine part. So yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clear the air. I also wanted to talk to you about some of your theater work, like because I know that you did theater, you did on-camera stuff. So would you say that those skills also helped you on your path? Because I know I usually ask this to those that have the background, but would you say that, the skills that you've learned from doing theater and film, you also applied it to voiceover? And when you made the jump into VO, was it kind of like did it kind of take you a while to really get your name out there, or was it something that just kind of came organically as time went on?
Yeah, I think so one thing that people for some reason don't realize is that like voice acting is acting. And so I think sometimes people have this like weird idea that they're completely separate entities. And I'm not even sure what people think that we do. I don't know if they think we just like read something and then that's it, or like we just put on a voice. But my acting prior to voiceover absolutely played a huge role. My on camera side, my theater side, that gave me all the abilities to be able to use it into voice performance. So the only thing that I would say is like a little bit different is just the understanding of the technique, because you have to be able to hear somebody upset. You know what I mean? You're not seeing their face contort and all that. You're not, if they're like excited, you have to hear the excitement, right? So like smiling changes that sound, right? So it's very physical, and people I sometimes don't think realize that And performance is like so nuanced. You have to hear every little bit because you're not going to see someone just staring at you, and like a tear bubbling over. Like you need to hear that in the voice. And so it definitely made a huge impact on my voice acting career. And then obviously into performance capture because that was, pretty much the same thing, just more technical things on you. So, yeah, it 100% did. It made a huge influence.
Oh, yeah. Because I noticed too, like just from looking at some of your work, I mean, you've done like um some pretty prolific theater productions and also for TV because you were also a host and
Mhm.
actually I'm kind of curious, do you enjoy like hosting for various productions?
I haven't hosted in a little while, and I really enjoy that. So I've done red carpets, I've done hosting comedy shows because I used to do stand up. I've done hosting of all kinds of video game shows, pop culture shows, and I do love it. Like there's still that innate maybe it's my like improv side and my desire to like talk with people. I enjoy people and getting to know people. And so I think that that still exists. And I still, I guess we'll say, enjoy it when I stream because I do stream on Twitch and it goes up on YouTube. And sometimes I'll have like friends or guest other actors that I'll kind of interview as well, similar to like what you're doing. And so I still get to have a taste of that. But yeah, I mean, it's totally a blast. It's super fun live too. Because you don't know what's going to happen and you don't know where the direction of that conversation is going to go. That question just like turned into something else. And you're like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. Now I want to know more.
Yeah,
So,
like this interview, for instance,
yeah,
from the beginning when we
exactly.
were talking about like, the remedies and everything earlier. Yeah. So yeah, for some of your video game and yeah, for some of the voiceover stuff that you've done, because I know everybody knows you as Claire from Resident Evil 2 and Lara Croft, Grove, sorry for mispronouncing the last name.
Yeah.
This is a habit of mine, but yeah, and then you were also in Final Fantasy and of course Genshin now. So yeah, I'm just kind of like because for all of these big franchises that you've done, right? Like, was it always something that because I know you mentioned, you were playing, Tomb Raider, and you know that Lara was was your introduction to female protagonists in video games. So getting to play many female protagonists, like, is this something that you're still pinching yourself like, I cannot believe this is even real? You know?
I
Is
mean,
do you still have those moments where it's just like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this?
I think there's always there's always an excitement about taking on like a new character in general. Um and the longer I get to be that character, so if it is a protagonist and I get to really see like growth in that character, it is a lot of fun. Like it becomes one of those things that where I just want to keep enjoying it. And I've definitely probably had my moments of like, holy crap, this is happening. I think I have it more so when because I don't realize it until I meet fans. And when I meet fans and I go, oh shit, that's right. This really did happen. And so and then seeing how that lives on and seeing the impact that those characters that I've chosen to play and like what I've added to those characters and how that's helped people through things or whatever that might be. I have those moments then. That's when I go, holy shit, pinch me. I can't believe I'm the lead of this, or, I was the character that led this person through this, or whatever it might be. Those are the moments that I get it. And it's usually when somebody else kind of reflects it back at me. Because otherwise I'm just kind of playing. I try not to think about like, oh my god, this is like a big huge thing and this is I got to do. I've done that in the past. And I have to catch myself because then it's too meta. I have to just be in that moment. But when I'm with people, that's when it really hits me. That's when I really see
Yeah.
it.
So getting to be Claire for Resident Evil 2, like, it's exactly what you were just saying. Like, it's kind of like, like you mentioned, sort of a dream come true to be like a positive role model for like, I know it's a protagonist who's like, strong, tough, and all of these qualities to it. And it's just setting like a positive role model to, a new generation of gamers, like to a new audience out there, You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I mean, it is pretty amazing when, like you said, when there's like a whole new generation coming into it, and then I really love when I have people come up to me and is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with Claire and I love her because of X, Y, and Z." And what I really love is that it's like, yeah, she's a badass, she kicks butt, all of the stuff, but she's so relatable is what I always hear. I feel like I understand her. I feel like she's like me. You know what I mean? Like all of these things are so cool. And it's powerful. I mean, it's super powerful to be able to do that with characters like that, and now like, I getting to play her in the Netflix series and then in the film that came out, Death Island. I mean, it's just continuing to see that growth in her character, and people still fully connect and see those moments of her like as she's growing throughout her life and where she is. And so it's really cool. It's really, really quite powerful to see that. And and I got to do that also with Cloud Retainer actually for Shen Yun. I've been voicing her for years and years in the game. Now she's playable, but she's been around the entire time, and she's led people throughout all of it. And so getting to do that with characters, I also, in Trials of Mana, where I voiced the fairy was with you from pretty much the beginning of the game till the very end of the game. And you see her character grow throughout, and so it's happened with a lot of pretty cool stuff. Even with I mean, it was a episode, I don't know if you saw, of Marvel's What If, as Betty Ross, but like that episode alone had to show range very quickly, and so seeing that and seeing people's reactions and seeing how that connects with people has been really beautiful and honestly quite a journey. So that's where this part of like what I do feeds me, is when I see that and when I understand that, when I feel that. So
Yeah. And it's so beautiful with what you've said. Like, everything that you said, I really don't think, like, if it wasn't for, like, I always say this, actors, somebody put this to me in a really good way. The script is a skeleton, but the actors give it a body, like bringing a character to life. And with your performance as, say, Claire or Laura, and any of the other characters that I mentioned before, it's like, you know, it really resonates a lot with people. It really resonates a lot with us, that just inspire us to be like, hey, like, this kind of really helped me through a very hard time that I've had in my life. Or, hey, yeah, this kept me, like you mentioned, like Genshin literally was like, hey, or and also and Among Us too.
yeah.
I have to mention that. But with Genshin, it's like, yeah, I kept myself sane because this game was what really helped me through just try to figure out and process what is, going on, or like
What's
how to
happening?
process this, this new, oh my gosh, what even is this? What? But yeah. So I guess with Cloud Retainer and, oh my gosh, I'm gonna
Her name is Shen Yun.
Inyon from Genshin. Like,
Yeah,
the
it's
overall
okay.
process
Yeah.
of getting to be a part of that was like, was it also something that was completely unexpected, and you just were not pre- I would say prepared, but more like was not expecting just the overall like love and outpouring of support that you've been receiving from the Genshin community, or like you've been seeing like on social media and stuff like that?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been awesome because the thing with Cloud Retainer when we first meet her is that she's a tough cookie and she's kind of not the most likable in the beginning. And then you start to see layers of her break. You know what I mean? She's almost like Shrek. Like she's like rah in the beginning, and you're like, oh, this lady is like so full of herself, and like she's too intense, and like she's like kind of guarded and mean. And you slowly start to peel away layers, and she is like
Mhm.
so deep. Like there's so much depth to that character. And so it's been really cool to see people's reactions to being like, I didn't think I was going to like her. And now she's become one of my favorite characters. Now, like I love her, and I like, and like everyone's always like, your storyline of hers is top 3 for me. always like, you're in my top, you're in my top, you're in my top. And so that kind of reaction is so cool. It is so cool because people were able to see those nuanced choices that between myself and the director, and game developer side, like really wanted to make sure that it happened and it felt real. As much as like the game can also be kind of like fun and just like lighthearted and stuff, it felt real and deep, and people are crying. People are crying, you know what I mean? And like, I get it. I feel it. So that like, I've only ever cried if something resonated with me. So the fact that the Genshin community has been so welcoming and so truly like open arms, taken me in and been like, "Oh my gosh, we love you." Like, this is amazing. So, and that's all I could ever hope for, So
Yeah. Isn't it awesome how everything just kind of all comes together and we just um are just all coming, like I said, like everybody just, you know, is so supportive and we're all really, I mean, a common theme, like, a few years ago was we're all in this together. I really that statement could not be even more true. Like, you know, it just really helped us through the worst of what we were dealing with at the time. And even, last year to an extent with everything that happened, but, you know, we're still here.
we're still
That's
here.
all I can
And
say. Yeah.
no, it's true. And it's funny you say that. So there's a line that Claire says in Resident Evil 2, and she says, "Let's get through this, both of us." And that was like a line that she would say. And it took on such a I would always just say to people, like, "Let's get through this, all of us," and I would like constantly do this because we needed it most. So you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It honestly translates into our world as well, and how important we want to make that. So
Totally. Um, so I guess this kind of wraps up part one of our interview. Oh, wait, what? So stay tuned for part two coming very shortly. And if you like this so far, please let me know in the comments, subscribe, all this YouTube mumbo jumbo, and I'll see you all in part two in just a little bit. Until then, catch you later.